What's up, everyone? This is Niyi Adewale, host of the Ekabo Home Financial Freedom Mastermind Group. This group meets virtually every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the members of this group are committed to achieving financial freedom well before the traditional retirement age. So in this podcast, you are going to get VIP access to the conversations we have about different forms of investment and creative ways to get your dollars working harder for you than you originally worked to obtain those dollars. Welcome to the Ekabo Home Podcast. Today we are joined by CT, who's getting ready to start his first Airbnb, and we're going to take a deep dive into some of the tools, tips, and tricks that can help you be successful as an Airbnb host. And so the first tip and trick is to use management software. There's a bunch of them out there. I've heard of Logify. I've heard of a couple others, but the one that I use is Hospitable, formerly known as Smart B&B. And CT, if you can see my screen. Okay. I know it's a lot going on right now, but the cool thing about this is everything is run through this system. Okay. If you're only planning to have one Airbnb, you may not need something like this. But if you get that one and you find out, hey, I really like this and I want to start building, you definitely want to have a software so that you don't miss any messages or anything from guests. So the first thing that this software helps you do is, from a communication standpoint, one thing that guests like is being informed about check-in information, being informed about how to check out, how to use all the software and everything that's within your house. And so I'm going to take you through actually a guest that checked in. So this is all stuff that comes out without me having to do anything, right? So as soon as somebody books, they get a new reservation message. And this tells them, hey, Denisha, thank you for booking our home. We look forward to hosting you throughout our stay in Atlanta and helping make this a memorable experience. Immediately after booking, you should have received an automated message from August Lock, which will give you your unique access code to enter the property. Please note that your access code will only be available from 3 p.m. on the day of check-in until 11 a.m. on the day of checkout. And we also highly recommend that you download the app for the August Lock key to allow you to open it if the keypad is not working. And then it also tells them about the welcome book that's located on the dining table that's going to have a whole bunch of other information for them to be able to know what to do around the area, know exactly how to work any of the thermostats or anything in the house, and answer really 80 to 90% of the questions. So when somebody books, they get this automated message that comes out. And then on the day of when they are checking in, they get a check-in message that says right here. So a couple hours before they check in, it just reiterates what it said before. Hey, please look at the check-in instructions on the main page. And also, here goes your unique code for checking in. Just enter that in and it's going to be available, from this time to that time. And then the next day, another automated message that's important is to have a morning check-in, right? On the first day that somebody's there. And the cool thing about this message is it doesn't have to be long, but it shows them that you care. And one of two things will happen. Either one, they're going to say, man, this is an awesome place. I love it. It's great. Well, one of three things. They're going to say, one, it's an awesome place. I love it. It's great. Two, they're not technically savvy and they're probably not checking their app or phone or have notifications, so they may not say anything. Or three, they can mention something that is off-putting with your place that if you were to resolve could make this a 5-star experience. I can tell you that we were able to learn from one of these first morning messages with a newer property that we had listed that all of the electrical in one of the rooms was not working. It was completely not functional, right? And the previous two guests hadn't said anything, but this one guest was like, hey, I can't plug anything in. And we're like, oh, snap. So we had to send somebody in to get that fixed. And so it helps with that. And it allows you to fix any issues before it ends up in a review. The last thing you want is to get a bad review, especially starting out. That can really sink your ships. You don't want to be below a 4.5. And really, you're shooting for 4.8 or higher average so that you can become a super host and get boosted to the top.
Gotcha.
Any questions on the automation of the messaging piece?
No. I did like the fact that you mentioned the messages a little more warm when I was reading there. I'm not making it sound like a computer there.
Exactly.
I really like the big thing that I was doing on the research end with welcome book, whether it's things that are out in the local area, but also how to use the place. So yeah, that's a great way to leverage that and make somebody aware of that.
Definitely. And to that point, the last piece, so these are all ones that you want it to seem like it's coming from you, like you just typed it that morning. And the last piece is reiterating the checkout instructions so that they know exactly what you have written in your welcome book. And so this right here are the checkout instructions. I'm going to read it. It says, hey, I hope you enjoyed your stay here thus far. Below are checkout instructions. Please make sure all the furniture is returned to its original location. Number 2, please make sure you have all of your valuables. Number 3, if there is one available, please place all your dirty dishes into the dishwasher and hit run. This is important because it helps your cleaners move efficiently through multiple units. If you have one property and one cleaner, okay, that 4-hour time frame or however long you have between one guest checking out and another checking in is probably sufficient. When you start to have 6, 7, 8, you need to make sure that you make it seamless so that your team can get in and out. Number 4, please turn off all exterior and interior lights. 5, please make sure all your stove burners and ovens are turned off. 6, please leave all the linen on the bed and place the dirty towels that you've used inside of the bathtub. This makes it a little easier for our cleaners to know, hey, these are clean, these are not, from a towel perspective, or hey, we didn't even use this room perspective, right? And kind of seamlessly make that a little easier for them. And then making sure they know it's important they depart by the departure time, because we do have people coming right after to get the place turned over. We also ask that they empty the trash into the outside bins, and then that they send us a text or a message, really a message through the app, when they've left the house. Now, some guests do this, some don't, but the guests that do, it does help us get in even earlier and potentially be able to get that unit turned over quicker so that we can offer an early check-in to the next guest for a fee. We actually did that with this guest. They were asking, hey, can we do an early check-in? And we happened to not have somebody staying the day before. And so we were able to get them in at 11 instead of 3, and we charged them $75 for that. So you can get extra money for check-ins, extra money for checkouts if you don't have somebody staying. And so that's part of the automation. So this is the message that was sent for the checkout. And we also reiterate, because not everybody knows, that, hey, if you enjoyed your time, please leave us a 5-star review. It's going to help our business grow, and it's so important for us. The other piece here is there's going to be some questions you notice that you answer pretty consistently. One of the ones for me was how to work the TV. If somebody does not read the guidebook, they may not know, or the whole instructions on the listing, they may not know that we don't have cable. We purposely don't put cable in any place because it's an extra expense. What we do is put high-speed internet, and then we put Google Chromecast so that you can cast whatever you have to the TV. And so some people know how to use that, some people don't. And I found myself answering that question over and over. Hey, how do I cast? Well, first you got to connect to the Wi-Fi, and then you turn on the TV, and then you cast, right? And so you can put automated responses to questions about TV, to questions about parking. And I've started to do that to the point where it will send an automated message to somebody as soon as they mention something about TV or about parking, and it lets them know what the situation is. So if you were to say something, I'm actually going to pull it up in the operations. So here goes some of the rules that I have related to the guest experience. So here goes some of the active messaging that I have. So this is all the pre-check and people, questions about the TV. So you can see if this pops up. It's going to answer it instantly if somebody says something about the TV, and it's going to let them know, hey, our TV does not have traditional cable. It's a smart TV enabled by Google. You can cast any media. Once you turn on the TV, please ensure that it's on the right source, and then go ahead and cast from your laptop, smartphone, or tablet. And this is something that I kept typing, like after 3 times of trying to find it and retype it exactly the same. I said, you know what, let me automate this. Let me make sure if somebody asks, it's going to automatically go out. And the cool thing is at the bottom, it tells them that this is auto-generated because they're going to wonder how you answered within 3 seconds, right? But hey, please note, this is an auto-generated response. And then did this answer your question? I had somebody a couple of weeks ago ask about the TV at like 1 a.m., right? Auto-generated response hit them. I didn't see any of this until the morning, and they had already responded and said, yes, thank you. We figured it out. Perfect. It's good. So that's how you work the auto-generated responses with that.
Gotcha. And for 1 second here, it sounds like, well, we're already doing what you're talking about with the Chromecast, not providing cable, allowing them to do their own logins or so on, but you don't have a house account for Netflix or anything of the sort on any of that. Okay. And additionally, go ahead.
No, please.
I was like, additionally, it sounds like you like to leverage not only Hospitable, but August because they work together. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there another August that works with Hospitable or just August?
So it's not specifically with Hospitable, it's with AirBNB. The August lock works integrates with AirBNB and also the Yell lock. I've never used the Yell lock, but have you heard of that, the Yell lock?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So both of those integrate with it. From years and years, I've been using August lock. So once I found out about it, I was like, hey, I'm going to keep using August lock. And they should pay me for this.
You've already done that research or not. But yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with August for we've been using that already.
True. And they should pay us for this free advertising. But on that Netflix piece, right? There's some hosts. I mean, you've stayed at Airbnbs. I've stayed at Airbnbs that use and have those house accounts, and it's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. When I was because I don't personally have Netflix on my phone, I have it on my TV, but that's a whole nother story. We're not gonna get into how I had. But so when I was staying in Tulum with the family, they had a house account that had Netflix and Amazon. It was awesome. We finished watching, a couple Squid Games with me and my brothers, and other shows, right? Family-friendly shows and things of that nature. But for me personally, I don't give a house account just because it's an extra expense that's not necessarily needed.
Yeah, especially for something like Hulu or Prime where they can add on features and incur costs. But yeah, I like the personal account.
Absolutely. The other piece within this, and this is still just the first one, but this is the most important thing, is setting up your system. It takes some time up front, but it's going to help you on the back end. So the other piece with this is from a guest experience standpoint, right? Now, when it comes to reviews, the way the reviews work is you have 14 days after a guest checks out to leave them a review, and they have 14 days to leave you a review. If you don't do it within that time period, no review gets left. With guests, I have some active messaging rules where it reminds them after like the day they check out to say, hey, that 5-star review would really help. And we have automated reviews that go out. So look at these pending reviews. You're going to see 2 different ones. These are 2 guests that checked out yesterday, right? So 24 hours later, the review will leave. I have just a regular review. It's pretty automated. The review is going to say, let me pull it back. The review is going to say, let's look at this. So this is the same review I leave everybody, all 5 stars. And it says guest name was an awesome guest, would definitely host again. If they were not an awesome guest or I wanted to change something, I could edit that here and then hit save, and it'll still go out at whatever time I want. Now, if you have a bad guest, and there's going to be one every so often, right? A guest that does something to your place, and or a guest that you believe did not have the best experience. Maybe they're angry about something. You've tried to assuage them, but they're just out to get you at that point.
Right.
You want to hit the review guest and you click this bad review button. And what it allows you to do is it automatically delays the publishing of this review until literally 2 minutes before the 14-day period ends, right? And then it posts. So this guest right here was stuck outside for not this guest. This guest right here came into the place and was immediately complaining about some like chip marks. This is one that I manage, chip marks and things that have been there for years. Like, hey, this paint mark is here. Hey, there's a mark on the counter, like a bunch of stuff. And so just to be safe, we put bad review. They're not a bad guest, right? To be clear, they're still going to get a good review, but we enabled this button so that if they post a review and they try to talk through all this stuff, it's not going to hit our account for 14 days, which is important. You don't want any bad reviews. You want those to delay as much as possible so that you can get as many good reviews on there to assuage that and to kind of mask it up. One bad review out of 10 is not going to hurt you. Now, if you have one bad review with only 3 reviews, that's going to hurt you. People are going to start asking you questions. Hey, what's going on here? And it's kind of hard to get off and running there.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And also, you're going to get so busy with one, not so much, but as you start to build up and it gets booked up, you're going to get so busy that you can't remember to post 6 guest reviews, right? Like, hey, you're going to be doing other things. So this automatically will post a good review 24 hours later. And if it's anything but that, or you need to change something, you just go in before that 24 hours, edit it, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, because you'll probably be aware of some issues prior to their departure, to your point.
Absolutely. Now, for most of your guests, if you set this up correctly and get all these active rules going, 90% of, well, we'll call it 80% of your guests are not really going to ask anything. They're just going to be in, out, and it's going to be pretty smooth to where you don't even really talk, especially those guests that are technology savvy. Once they see all this, I'm like, oh, I got it. And they're going to leave you alone and pretty much be in and out, which is good.
Gotcha. Can you use the same platform for your ongoing rentals, or is this more Airbnb specific?
It used to be called Smart B&B because it literally integrates with Airbnb. You can't use it for a regular rental. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
But from a short-term rental perspective, it's awesome. And it integrates with all of your booking platforms. So yeah. I do Airbnb and VRBO. Booking.com, I haven't figured out yet. I need to take some time and do that, but I do those two. And then I also do the direct site, which they just came out with. They're working to get this one filled out, but they also have a direct site. And for repeat bookers or people that have 5-star ratings or are really good staying at your house, highly recommend putting something in there. I personally put a little postcard with a QR code to the direct site saying, hey, next time book here to save on fees. But would highly recommend putting something in there to make them a repeat customer, even off the platform. And so I have a guest that's checking in March that comes here once a month. They're a senior. They come here to teach people and they do concerts and stuff. And they've been booking direct the last 3 times. They booked 4 times, and the last 3 times they booked direct, and they come back to the same place. They love it. But this is kind of my direct website. It's pretty basic, but it pulls in all the data from Airbnb. So you don't have to create 2 sites. It just literally, once you have the one and you link it to your hospitable, it pulls it all in and they can look and book from there.
Awesome.
Fair enough. Any questions on the software?
Not as of yet.
All right. So we're going to keep this up in the background because we're going to have to keep coming back to this between. But now I want to jump into the second tip and trick. And these are the longest tips and tricks ever. So the second one is dynamic pricing. All right. This is important. So I live in Atlanta and operate in Atlanta. And the cool thing about this city is there's always something going on. Literally. I just had some friends come out and stay, and actually some clients come out to look for some houses, and they couldn't get a hotel. So they ended up staying at one of my B&Bs. They were like, oh, and they ended up staying at one of the B&Bs because literally everything was booked. And I have no idea what's going on this weekend. There's literally no sport events. There's just conferences or something. And so you can lose out if all you have is just the same standard pricing for during the week and the same standard pricing for the weekends, right? And with dynamic pricing, what this allows you to do is it makes you operate like a hotel. If you ever look at booking a hotel, you'll notice that during the week, it's a lot cheaper. When you hit the weekends or there's an event, that price goes up. And so this allows you to do the same thing. And I'll actually dive in to show you kind of what the pricing looks like. Let me pull this.
As you're pulling that up, at some point here, I will ask if there's a percentage charge or a flat rate for the software tools that we're looking to leverage it.
Yeah, so let's jump in that. With Hospitable, it is When you start out, it's $15 per property when you start out, and then that price goes a little less as you have more. So I think right now I'm averaging maybe $10 per property with 6, but when you start out, it's 15 or so per property. And then for dynamic pricing, which is the Pricing Labs tool or Beyond Pricing tool, this one charges you 1% of your bookings. So if you have, like right now, you can see I have somebody staying here, checking in today, and they're staying here through Thursday. So they charge me 1% of the 99 per night. So, 90 cents, right?
Right.
Or $9. Scratch that. Sorry, it's early. $9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how that Temple education goes.
Hey, come on now. But 1%, scratch all that. It's 1% of this total. So 596, 1% of 596 would put you at $5.96. So it's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's great.
And the cool thing about this, and what I come in here and do, is the weekends typically are a lot higher, and you can set your minimum price. Like, hey, this is the bare minimum. I want to take it. And as you start to get closer to that date, if it's not booked, it'll start to lower your price, especially during the week. And then you can set your base price, and it just goes off of your history. It goes off of what is available in the area. And also, if there's some special event that the algorithm knows of that you don't know of, it'll boost your prices. So you can see right here, for the ones that are further out, they're paying a little more. And for the ones that are closer together, it's a little less. And if I ever feel like, hey, I really want to get this booked, Monday through Thursday is going to be tough, I can highlight those days and I can say, you know what, let me do a slight change. I'm going to decrease that by 10% to hit the algorithms within Airbnb and make it really, really float to the top. Airbnb likes lower price properties, of course, and they just did an algorithm change, and they do this every so often. But the new algorithm looks at your next 2 weeks of availability, or next 2 weeks of availability, and it displays the lowest price that you have within the next 2 weeks. So within my next 2 weeks, the lowest price is 70. There's also one for 134, which is a pretty large spread for a one bedroom, right? But they're going to show $70 on the list page when people are looking. They're going to see 70 before they select their dates, right? And so it gets people to see it, look at your listing, see the descriptions, hopefully fall in love with it. And then when they book their days, that's when their actual pricing per day will come out.
Yep.
Okay. Now, as far as a pricing strategy when it comes to your cleaners, right? What I typically like to do is charge a little bit more than what the cleaning fee is. So for this one bed, one bath, my cleaning fee is down to $51 per turn. And that was over time. It used to be $65, but once you start giving more business, you can negotiate and bring the overall price of your cleanings down. And so I charge $75 per cleaning for this one. I also have another home that's a 3-bed, 2-bath that costs $120 per cleaning, $120 per cleaning, and I charge $150. And the reason for that is there's going to be some times where you're potentially going to have to pay more for the cleaning because it's an extensive cleaning, or that guest just left it in not a good situation. And there's other times where you're going to need to replace some stuff and grab cleaning supplies, and all that's not really factored into just paying the cleaners their cleaning fee. So you got to build in a little buffer for that to make it a little more palatable for you. Now, you don't want to make it super high, right? Because that will kind of deter some people, but you do need to have a cleaning fee that's higher than what you're paying your actual cleaners to clean.
Roger that.
And then during the low season, the cool thing about this dynamic pricing is you can really easily go in and cut your prices down, because in the wintertime, it's typically a lot less people visiting, especially during the week. I can tell you the weekends typically stay booked. During the week, you do need to get creative to make sure that you can stay booked in the off season. During summer, when everybody's traveling, at least in Atlanta, don't really got to worry about it. I can just leave this thing, let it do what it does, and it just stays booked. And you can see I actually have a request, and I need to address that for, these are direct booking requests, these ones that are blocked right here. So I need to actually go in and accept that from Hospitable, which I will. Okay. Any questions on the pricing tool?
No, I can see how this is all scalable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It would be nice if it worked for long-term rentals as well, though.
Yeah, I know. That'd be smooth, man. The automated messaging, I would.
Easy. Everybody be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now we're jumping into August Lock. And this is the third automation, and it's your locks. And we just talked about it before, but this integrates with Airbnb, and it allows you to have automatic messages sent to guests, which will give them their lock code and also give them, access to the app if they want to download that. And so I'm going to kick it back over to the platform just so I can show you what that message looks like when it comes out. So when that automated message comes out, what I have here. As soon as somebody books, this message comes within a minute after they book, and it tells them that, hey, Airbnb has partnered with August Lock to give you access, and it automatically creates a code for them that will only work during the time that they are checking in and the time that they're checking out. It also allows them to download the app directly using the same information that they have in Airbnb so that they can have access to unlock it from the phone, because sometimes the keypad that we use needs a new battery, or it doesn't function correctly, or it's finicky sometimes, the keypad. But they always would have access to the app during their stay so that they can get in and out from that standpoint. So that's really a benefit, only because I've talked to a couple other Airbnb hosts that did not have an automation system, and they were the ones that were putting it in for each lock. And that worked for a while until they started getting a couple more. And there was one instance where they forgot, and they were out, in a loud place, and they didn't see it for a couple hours, right? And that's definitely a negative review. Somebody can't get in and it's cold or anything like that. It's not going to be good. And this was out in Chicago. So you can imagine it's not going to be good. So you want to automate as much as you can to eliminate the human error. So it's not you having to really actively do anything unless there's an issue or some random question that pops up.
Yeah, and I'm just going to encourage everyone to use August, or it doesn't matter for Airbnb, but also for long-term rentals.
That's interesting. Why? Mm-hmm.
If you ever have an issue with a tenant or during changeover, just the ongoing using August, you can see when things go and leave. You can use video recording if you would like to. That's all capable with August. But that's been a huge blessing for us with just long-term rentals, and that's less turnover, obviously, than the Airbnb side. So, yeah, August has been great for as long as you've put me onto it back in Louisville.
Dude. See, I didn't even think about using it for other long-term rentals because it's an expensive block, right? Compared to just getting a quick set. But that makes sense, because then you can see in out, even for maintenance, you can just, hey, maintenance is going to be there. You can just enable it.
I can let them in without that tenant being there. And additionally, we've actually repainted less doors without having keys hitting the door, and people fumbling with stuff. They can use their phone and kind of come in passive. So there's less marks on the door, if that matters any. I don't have a quantitative number for that, but I don't like painting doors.
Hey, I don't paint anything, so I got some marks here that it
I
should
don't
be
have
cool.
Somebody else's Netflix account, so I have to do the painting.
No, so CT, that's a huge gem, man. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna look into that because I love that.
If you ever have a problem, you want to be able to keep people out of that property, but we haven't had any of those kind of serious issues. But the main one you mentioned is maintenance. And not letting that affect the renters day to day.
Yeah. And do you actually give a physical key to them too? Or it's that, and then there's like a lockbox?
Lockbox.
Dude, that's awesome.
One property does have a physical key for the garage door, not putting August outside in that space.
No. Okay. So Okay, moving forward, we're going over to the cleaners, right? Cleaner strategy. The cool thing about this software that I use is, and the main reason I got it, because I thought I had like 2 properties. I'm like, man, I can do this through the app. But with these 2, how do I let the cleaners know when they're cleaning? And I'm going to tell you another story. It's about my same friend in Chicago, right? They were they were running Airbnb for the past 2 years. And this is somebody that inspired me to get in, right? And they're like, man, it's going good. I don't need to worry about anything. They were used to sending their cleaner the whole calendar, like taking a screenshot, sending it to them at the beginning of the month so that the cleaners can schedule it and be ready to rock. But then they had a last minute booking and forgot to let the cleaner know. And they had guests show up, right? They went into the home. Thankfully, I don't know where these guests came from. I don't know, the whole situation, but these guests didn't trip and they were like, hey, it's okay. Just bring us some sheets and we're good. And they didn't leave a bad review or anything. Those guests were some saints. But if I walked into a hotel and I saw, the sheets ruffled and everything, like somebody literally had just gotten up, it would not be good, right? I'd be like, hey man, I need a new room. I need everything, right? Same thing with the Airbnb, because you're running a mini hotel when you think about it. And so what this allows you to do is automate all the messages that you have going to your cleaners, which is huge. So when you look at the operations tab, this is my team members, right? So I've got my cleaning team, I've got some maintenance guys, my lawn guy, and then of course, me as well, because I had to test it out. And so when I'm looking at some of these rules and notifications, anytime there's a new reservation, my cleaners get a message immediately that says, hey, there's a new reservation at this address. They're going to be checking in on this date at this hour, and they're going to be checking out on this date at this hour. And then ask them, hey, if you're not able to handle this cleaning, please let me know. And they can respond via text, because this sends a text message to them. You can do a text or an email. I like text message because they seem to like that. And they can respond to that text and you'll get an email or a message back if they respond to it. But this is only if they're not able to take it. I haven't had to respond or take anybody else since I've implemented this system. And if the reservation gets altered at all, like sometimes people extend or they cancel it, it'll automatically take that task off of their list. And the cool thing that I've enabled in here is whenever there's a new reservation, it automatically puts a task for cleaning immediately after they check out. And it puts it on the calendar, it puts it there for them, and it sends them a message immediately when it's booked. And then 2 days before it sends them another text to say, hey, just a reminder, they're checking out on this date. And then the day of, 7 a.m. in the morning, it sends them a text to say, hey, again, this person's checking out at this property. And if somebody's checking in back to back, right, it'll also add another piece that says, hey, and by the way, somebody's checking in back to back. And the cool thing about this is you can create custom codes within the system that allow a message to go out only if a certain action is met. And we're going to run out of time here. So we're going to jump back on. When this thing kicks us out, we got to jump back on the Zoom. Give me 1 second. Better yet, let's stop this one. And I'm going to send you a new Zoom and we'll jump back on. Sorry for the choppiness, but the Zoom actually cut out when me and CT were having that conversation, and you missed the last piece. So we had to log off, log back into a different Zoom, and I forgot to hit record. But the 5th principle and final one that I have of tips and tricks for today, and we may do a part 2 with other tips and tricks because there's so many that are being left out. These are just some of the main ones that come to mind. But the 5th and final tip and trick for this episode is you need to write down and have what I like to call AirBNB principles. And what I mean by that is you need to have a structured way of screening out tenants and guests, similar to how when you go to a property manager for a long-term rental, they have some criteria. You've got to have 3 times the income, 600 or better credit, no past evictions, no criminal record, etc., before they'll let you in. The same thing you have to do with these short-term rental guests. And so I found a couple rules that I stick by that really help me to not have to deal with too many bad guests as I did early on. The first is, in the long run, it's better to refund some of the money than to receive a bad review. Your goal should always be to be a superhost and to maintain that status, because as a superhost, you get to have international travel come and select you. You get your listing boosted to the top. Whereas other hosts that have a 4.7 or less, or 4.6, or even the threes, a lot of people ask questions about whether or not they want to stay there, because 3 out of 5 is not good. Really, 4.2, 4.1 out of 5 is not great, and you got to increase that. And so the way I look at it from that perspective, in the long run, it's better to refund some money than to receive a bad review. So if there's a minor issue, say the guest got there and wasn't immediately able to get in, and it took 30 minutes because some issue to get into the property, we would refund $50. If it's a moderate issue, say the water heater went out and it was out for a whole night before we can get a plumber in there, I'd recommend refunding one night to buy some goodwill with the guest as you get things fixed. And if it's a major issue, say there's something that, was in the listing but it's not there, or there's just a myriad of things that have happened during this guest stay that you haven't been able to fix, I would consider refunding 50% or more of what they paid, because the money's great, but at the end of the day, if they give you a terrible review, you're going to lose out on so many more dollars in the future than you could if you were just to fix their situation, make them whole financially, and move on to the next reviews. The other rule of thumb that I live by is no local bookings unless that person has glowing reviews. 4.5 rating and higher is the only locals that can stay at the properties that I have or manage. So if you're within 20 miles, that's what I'm looking for. If you don't have any reviews and you're within 20 miles, you are 99% of the time going to get declined. Unless you have a really good story, it's going to be declined. And then if you don't have any reviews, right, and you are coming from afar, then I typically ask a couple more questions just to verify that this person's somebody that we want in the property. The first question is, one, have you read, please confirm that you've read and reviewed all the rules. And then the second question is, I need you to send all the driver's licenses or pictures of them, of all the driver's license of the adults that will be staying on the premises. And we do this for two reasons. One, to ensure that they are who they say they are, that they didn't just make up an account. And two, to make sure that it's mostly people that are 25 and older, right? Because if you get a house full of 18 to 22-year-olds, I can guarantee there's going to be a party, right? Or there's going to be something messed up because they're all on their own, they're having fun, right? So same way that when you go to Enterprise or any of these car rental places to rent a car, they want to see somebody that's 25 plus renting. That's the same reason that we want to have somebody 25 plus renting from our space as well. And if somebody starts to give you pushback on either of these two things, that's probably not somebody that you want to stay within that property. And so that rounds out the top 5. Again, just want to thank you for tuning in, and sorry for the choppiness of moving from one to the other. But if you listen to this on the podcast, I would highly recommend, this is an episode you need to look at it on YouTube, just so that you can see all the tools and exactly the type of messages that we're sending, so that you can replicate or even make better. If you make it better, go ahead and shoot me a message so I can know. For all the others that listened all the way through the end, we appreciate you. If you could please go to your favorite podcast app and go ahead and hit that follow button. We want to keep you updated on exactly what's going on and let you know when each drop of the episodes are coming out. I hope that you found this helpful, and hey, happy hunting out there. Have an awesome week.